Pain is temporary, but pride is forever. Hi there, Sage Kennedy of VO2 Max Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about pain management, and I want to thank The Moon Sees Me, I believe was the username that submitted this comment, and a lot of you that voted on it. So we're going to go with that for this week's training talk topic. Be sure to submit more votes, more comments for next week's training talk topic, or I might do more than a week. I don't know, one a week. We'll see. But yeah, so we'll get right into it. Distance running is hard. It's a very demanding sport. Any endurance athletics actually is pretty hard. And it's less of a pure skill sport, obviously. Technique, there is technique involved, but a lot of it does come down to how much pain, how much torture can you take. And with shorter races or longer races, it really doesn't matter. I've always viewed the pain as being a constant. What was the analogy for racing a mile or a marathon or ultra marathon? Doesn't matter, 1 mile, 100 miles, it's gonna hurt if you try hard. You're either like burning yourself with a flame, with a match, and you're just really hurting yourself and you're like, or you're slowly roasting yourself over a bed of hot coals and you're slowly suffering. So obviously in the longer events, the intensity is lower, but the pain is drawn out more for a longer time, and you're kind of suffering in agony for hours on end. Whereas in a all-out 800-meter half-mile race or mile race, it's the lactic acid's really seizing you up, and you're absolutely going into that last 400 meters trying to sprint as hard as you possibly can, and you're already in a lot of pain. Some of my most painful races that really strike me with dread is running like a flat 3K or 5K on the track, or 10K on the track. It's all hard. The pain just manifests itself in different ways, and if you're gonna try hard in a race, you're gonna hurt. And if you're gonna reach a personal best, especially as you get more and more fit and more experienced, you're probably gonna have to push through a really high threshold of pain. It never gets any easier. Like, you get in better shape to do relative performances, but obviously if you're always pushing the envelope, I'm in a lot of pain in every race. That being said, there have been a handful of races, maybe like 5 out of my whole career of racing hundreds of races, from 400 meters up to 100K, that I was kind of in a state of flow, and I was so zoned in and mentally with it that I didn't feel the pain quite as bad. Whereas there's really bad days and really bad races, it seems like the pain is more intense, and it rigs you up harder, and you kind of mentally suffer from it. But there is the mind-body connection, and your threshold from pain and tolerance comes from mental discipline, mental strength, mental resilience, but also practice. Doing workouts, doing any quality workout is gonna put you in a state of discomfort. When your blood pH gets more acidic, when you're running over your lactate threshold, and your body's kind of telling you to slow down, you have to have the mental discipline to work through that. And same thing when you're 100% at your VO2 max in a 3K race, or a vertical K, or whatever you're doing, you're going to be maxed out. When you're in an ultra and you're bonking and you're on the edge of glycogen depletion and you're trying to go faster than what your fat stores can allow you to go, maybe charge up a hill, and you're dehydrated, your electrolytes are imbalanced, your legs are cramping up, you're going to be suffering pretty bad. You might be parched and thirsty like I was at Black Canyon as well. So lots of different things that cause pain. How often should you put yourself in it? What does it feel like? I guess the first thing from a training perspective is to separate kind of pain from like a skeletal muscular injury or like chronic back pain or something like that, versus pain that's induced kind of by the aerobic system, or pain that's you're inducing because of the relative intensity of the workout or duration of the workout. So most days, like I say, I run at a very easy, relaxed pace. It's probably around 65 to 70 or 75% of maximum heart rate, sometimes even lower if it's a true recovery jog. And it's not painful. There's not very much lactate. concentration in my blood. I'm not hyperventilating. I could easily carry on a pleasant conversation if I'm running with someone. I hardly ever do. I usually run alone, like 99% of the time. But it's relaxing. I could look around. I could enjoy the scenery. I feel tired sometimes. You know, my legs feel stiff. Maybe you've got a little lingering aching pain, but you don't force things. You don't force the issue. And, you know, after a hard day of work, I know a lot of you are real pressed for time. You're sleep deprived. You got family obligations, work obligations. You're trying to sneak in your run with a headlamp at 5 a.m. or you're running after dinner at, 8 a.m., 9 p.m. It's hard after an exhausting day of work. I haven't worked that many shifts on my feet, but I know, like, just working all day, working an 8-hour shift on your feet does not feel good when you have to do your run after that. It's like extra strength and extra discipline to get out the door. So that's more on the mild side of pain. I guess with quality workouts, maybe twice a week, on average, it changes with the periodization, but say you're doing a threshold workout, a tempo run workout, 20-minute tempo at, between 10K pace and half marathon race pace. It's about an 8 out of 10, 80%, 85% type of effort. Now that's subjective. Objectively, we could say maybe it's 85 to 88% of your maximum heart rate. Maybe it's closer to 90% of your maximum heart rate, critical velocity. But, it's not a comfortable, it's comfortably uncomfortable type of workout. And that's kind of the subjective way to describe it. And if it kept going for 40 minutes or 60 minutes at true lactate threshold intensity, it would basically become an all-out race. And whether you cover 10K or 15K, or if you're super elite, you could cover a half marathon in 60 minutes. So that becomes your lactate threshold pace, what you could do basically for 50 to 60 minutes all out, 100% amped up, tapered, mentally on, bringing your A game, bringing your pain face. Then you have higher intensity workouts, hill reps, short track interval workouts. Maybe you're doing kilometer repeats. Maybe it's a really hard VO2 max, maximum aerobic capacity workout. Maybe you're 97% max heart rate. You're fighting some lactic acid. You're getting some lactic acid buildup. You've crossed over into building up higher concentration lactic acid, which kind of hurts. And we could say it's a limiting factor. We could say the pain's a limiting factor. But again, in VO2 max workouts, like according to Jack Daniels, you don't want to always push 100%. You save that for the races. But you're going pretty hard, and maybe on the last rep you're going all out, basically, just to hold pace, and you're trying to evenly pace it. So that gets really demanding, and it's quite a bit of discomfort. That's why people train in groups, and they try to latch on. In college we'd have a big team, and you get competitive, and you could almost have the mindset that you're in a race doing these interval workouts. And some of them, especially for the shorter distance runners, you're doing basically all-out 600-meter sprint or something like that, 4x400 at a really high velocity. It's very, very painful, and your blood gets very acidic because of the concentrations of lactic acid. Likewise, doing an uphill tempo run up a mountain at altitude, you have this lung-searing pain. Every time I have this feeling of despair, like I just want to quit and cry. Because it's very uncomfortable, and that's why I think we do it. We're kind of masochists. We're addicted to the pain, some of us. But you ultimately have to enjoy the feeling after, the sense of accomplishment that you pushed through something that you didn't think you could handle, or you didn't walk when you felt like walking, or you finished when you felt like stopping. So I think, that goes hand in hand with distance running. And twice a week I'm putting myself in some discomfort. Maybe one time it's a threshold type of workout, interval type of workout. Maybe another time it's a long run. Usually I do my long runs fairly intensely. So, 22-mile route up and down the mountains in Boulder, maybe 7,000 feet of vert. It's not always super hard, but it's never easy. It's never easy. There's always a feeling, maybe I start off and I feel sluggish, maybe in the middle of the run I'm like, gosh, I don't know if I could keep this intensity up, and I just have to start visualizing that I'm kind of in a race, and I'm like, man up, you gotta be tough, like your competitors are training hard. When it comes down to the race, you have to be able to bring it and flip that switch on and kind of disassociate from the pain because you chose to do this. It's a voluntary thing to race, and it's a luxury. It's really a luxury and privilege for me to, to be able to run, and I appreciate that. There's a lot more horrible atrocities going on in the world where people are struggling every day for their life through real pain and hunger and violence. So, thankful for putting myself in voluntary voluntary type of pain. We're choosing to do races and we're choosing to test ourselves because it's kind of human nature. The high-end physical capacity, celebration of the human physical spirit, so to speak, to see what the human body could do naturally and surprise yourself. You know, you don't have to be winning races or winning your age group, or you know, if you set a personal best or you just get out there and you feel good and you cover the longest distance you've ever covered in your life, that's a real accomplishment, and you should pat yourself on the back for that. And as you get more advanced, as you start training at a higher level and you have structured training with these workouts that bring pain, you actually learn to tolerate more and more pain, and you learn that, hey, you know, I could run for a marathon closer to what used to feel like a sprint. I could sustain that now. Part of that's having the heart and lungs to do that and having the muscle fibers to do that through training and strength building. But another part of it is the mental capacity to not sell yourself short, to give yourself that extra push. And you know, we look at limiting factors. People say, you know, what's limiting you? It's all mental. Well, it is a lot of it's mental, but a lot of it is physical, and they manifest themselves. So yeah, if you mentally train really hard and you mentally could tolerate moderate amounts of pain, 7 out of 10 on the pain scale, 10 being the worst and 0 being feeling nothing, or 8 out of 10, then in the end of a race at a certain time, you could go 10 out of 10, hopefully closer to the finish. Because in ultras especially, you do have to pace yourself, and so you're kind of gambling, you're risking on how much pain, how much intensity can I bring early on in the race without totally tanking later on. And you know, the pain usually increases as the race progresses generally. Sometimes in ultras you have up and down patches. In the shorter distance races though, for sure 5K, 10K, mile, usually it goes up exponentially with it is an even paced race, the pain goes up because you're building up higher lactate levels and your muscles start to fail. And we could look at, you know, limiting factors, Timothy Noakes' central governor theory, that your brain basically says, hey, it kind of panics because it thinks your body's in shock and it says, we need to shut down, this is not fun, this is crazy, stop doing this. And your brain is actually the limiting factor that's shutting down your body, making your legs buckle and lock up, making you feel like you're burning up with the lactic acid. But you know, low blood pH, acidic blood, I think I got that right. I barely passed chemical engineering at Cornell. Acidic blood starts shutting down some of the muscle fibers don't like to operate in that kind of environment, basically. I think, you know, there's some chemical reactions that aren't good, but then also, you know, your lungs can only bring so much oxygenated blood to your working muscles so fast. And then with ultras, you know, nutrition and fueling brings on a lot of the pain, the bonk, the epic bonk, the feelings of despair, and that gets really mental. So I guess in a nutshell, so this rant doesn't go on forever, you know, pain's something you gotta manage, something you gotta deal with. I always like to think, I always feel sometimes the best after moderately hard tempo run workouts, because I am tired, but it's a very satisfying feeling, whereas other runs maybe you don't get quite that feeling of satisfaction. So the moderately hard workouts are definitely good, and playing mental games with yourself, just breaking down a workout into shorter segments, or just thinking, you know, I'm gonna go farther or change some metric in the training. You know, I'm gonna go for a 25-minute tempo run up this hill or on this treadmill at an incline and try to keep this heart rate and distract yourself with running at the right intensity. Because I think most runners, we're overeager. We want to get out the door every day and they're rolling out at 70%, 80%, because you're amped up and you think you have to put yourself in pain every day. I'm saying you don't. Relax some days, take it easy, take a breather, be able to have a conversation on most of your runs. And it changes with periodization throughout the season, but most days are not going to be hard and not going to be painful. I save all my 100% efforts for races, pretty much. So, and you race sparingly if you want to have a long, sustainable career. You can't go to the well multiple times in a year, I don't think, or you're going to pay the price eventually. You're just not going to race well consistently, or get injured. And that's another final note, is the lower intensity, the less pain, the more gain. You know, you don't want to always be running through pain. If you have tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis, or IT band, sometimes it's better to take days off and to cross train and to be patient, because I know a lot of you are really tough and you're really determined to improve in running, and if you have a nagging overuse injury, running through a lot of pain on that is usually a bad idea that could set you back even farther. So I don't know how much that has to be reiterated, but again, it depends on the injury, it depends on how much pain it is, but generally those are kind of red flags from your body telling you to take a break and to dial things back, and then hopefully recover, come back slow, come back stronger, and be able to progress in the long term because you're patient, you pace yourself. If you want to be a lifelong runner like I do, hopefully, I think that's the way to go. So it's a tough, demanding sport. It takes a lot, but it rewards you a lot. And you know, different thresholds of pain happen with different workout intensities, different race durations. The pain manifests itself in different ways, obviously. And it's something we all have to deal with. So it's not like I don't do easy races. I don't do B races. All my races are A races. I'm bringing it. And sometimes mentally I feel like I didn't bring it all the way, but that's part of the game too, is the mental component, being mentally strong, having the discipline to persevere when you feel like you're not going to be able to hold the pace and the intensity. So that's my rant on pain management. I hope you guys learned something. I feel like I said maybe some things kind of repeated myself there, but really do appreciate all the support on here on Patreon, all the views and shares. Keep the subscriptions coming. Share this on social media if you like it. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Sage Canaday. I have a Facebook athlete fan page, Sage Canaday fan page, as well as always trying to make new videos, new posts on Instagram, exclusive access on Instagram for certain levels, and stay tuned for more videos on here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.